If there's one thing Star Trek fans love to do, it's criticize Trek. It's almost a requirement if you want to be a fan. Or dare to call yourself a Trekkie. Here are 5 things Trekkers don't think are Trekkie enough to be Trek. Number 1, is it Trekkie or Trekker? Yeah, we might as well start with the label itself. What is a Trekkie? What is a Trekker? And which one do you claim? According to the Oxford English Dictionary, is a noun. Plural, Trekkies. A fan of the U.S. science fiction television program Star Trek. According to Robert Justman, in an interview for TNG, Season 1 DVD special features for The Beginning, Trekkies are forward-looking people. Now, the term Trekker is preferred by some Trekkies, and the term Trekker is preferred by some Star Trek fans, as the term Trekkie is perceived to be a derogatory or a diminutive one at best when used by non-fan family members, especially by non-fan society at large, who consider Trekkies as being obsessive in their fandom. Now, I absolutely identify as a lifelong fan of Star Trek, and I would say that I go along with the series as it builds. As we get new stuff, I'm happy and excited to see the new thing. I also complain about them and wonder what they're doing, but I go on with it. However, I have a lot of respect for where we came from. While I am really excited to see the new stuff that's coming, I absolutely go back and rewatch the classics. For the purpose of this series, I'm going to use the term Trekkie, because we all identify as Trekkies at some point. And number 2, hating on a series. Now, everybody has their favorite, but spending energy to belittle someone else's is a waste of time and just takes the joy out of Trek for the other people. Personally, I would rather spend a lot of time building up the ones that I love. Have I mentioned I really enjoy Discovery? Number 3, hating on a series just because it's not like the other series. We see it every time. We get really excited because there's going to be a new series, new characters, new stories, new aliens. And then we get really upset because there are new stories with new aliens in a new place doing new adventures that we didn't approve of. Don't even get me started if it happens to be a stationary locale or if a woman happens to be captain. People were uproarious because Sisko never went anywhere except through a wormhole, which, by the way, took him to an entire different quadrant of space, but still. The station was stationary. That meant that it was no longer Star Trek. The stories were different, so it wasn't really Star Trek. But I mean, come on, it's Star Trek. We were looking for a new series, and what do? Complain. Same thing with Voyager. It's a woman. We're supposed to be forward-thinking. What happens? A bunch of people say they can't watch it because she's not the kind of captain Picard was or Kirk was. But you know, people complained that Picard wasn't the kind of captain Kirk was, and people complained that Sisko wasn't a captain at all. We get a new series, guys. We should appreciate it just a little bit, but still criticize it. Number 4, owning merch to prove you're a real fan. Now, we've all seen it. People get really excited because they've got a great new shirt, a great new hat, a great new decal for their car, whatever. And someone else says, "Oh, I wish I had one of those." "Oh, you don't have one of these?" I mean, what is it with this snobbery? Not everybody has an extra $500 to throw down for a personalized cosplay for their very first convention. And for some reason, there's always somebody who has to be a jerk about the homemade stuff, about somebody coming with nothing Star Trek, or it's ridiculous. Fandom doesn't have to do with the monetary sacrifices that you're willing to make. It has to do with the love you have for the stories, the characters, the ingenuity, even just the verse itself. And we shouldn't hold people up to the, you have to own this much merchandise just to be allowed. And besides, I mean, speaking as somebody who has purchased 1 or 2 items that were just because they had the right logo on the side, and you buy household stuff and it's gonna break down in like 10 minutes compared to buying a brand name, proper, say, crock pot, and then just putting a Star Trek decal on the side. You're gonna have a way better crock pot. Number 5, fans who don't like it when Star Trek addresses social issues. I don't know if you've known this, but Star Trek has a history of talking about things people won't talk about, whether it's racism or sexism or homosexuality. Star Trek has tried to stay on topic with what's going on in the world today. So if you weren't upset that Kirk kissed Uhura because it's the original series, but you're really upset that Adira wants to be called they, you need to know what you're watching. I hate to say it, but you might want to do your research before you complain about a show that's pretty much been this format for, I don't know, 5 decades, going on 6. And those were 5 things Trekkers do not think is Trekkie enough to be Trek. I know what you're thinking, but Katie, you missed that one thing that I heard about last week, or that I just read about today on Twitter. Yeah, I know, there's a way longer list. I have a way long list, which is why this is the first in a series of 5 things we just complain about a lot. So if you like what you saw and you want to see more, don't forget to like, do not forget to subscribe, and I will see you in, say, 1 week. Bye.